Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue au territoire traditionnel des peuples Métis-Sagway et le traité de territoire de la nation Williams. J'aimerais souhaiter la bienvenue au Premier ministre et aux députés provinciaux qui se trouvent ici aujourd'hui. De dire que les Chippewas de Beau Soleil, de Grand Island et les Mississauga d'Underhill, Curve Lake, Hirata et Scugog Island sont les descendants de ces terres et détiennent cette responsabilité de la part du Créateur depuis les temps immémoriaux. Au nom des Premières Nations de ce traité, je suis ravi de vous souhaiter la bienvenue à nos terres ancestrales. Et la chef Kelly LaRocca regrette de ne pouvoir être des nôtres. Elle était prise à l'aéroport aujourd'hui. Pendant des générations, les communautés ont servi en tant qu'intendants de ces terres, protecteurs de ces terres, en voulant préserver ces terres pour les générations futures. Et c'est une responsabilité que nous prenons très au sérieux. J'espère que vous vous joindrez à nous en reconnaissant l'importance des terres et des eaux et en s'assurant que les décisions que nous prenons aujourd'hui pour l'avenir, décisions qui demandent le consentement des Premières Nations, assureront la protection de la durabilité de nos habitats naturels et des eaux et des terres. Et j'aimerais dire à OPG, merci de tout le travail que vous avez fait dans le cadre de votre travail avec les Premières Nations pour le territoire de Williams. Alors que nous avançons plus loin dans le domaine de l'énergie propre, ce qui va limiter les émissions.
Very honored to be here and very honored to welcome everyone to the territory and the Premier. Miigwech.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning and miigwech, Chief Carr, for your warm welcome to our territory, your territory. Your communities are integral to the development of new generation here, and we are committed to building positive and mutually beneficial relationships with you. At each stage of the Darlington New Nuclear Project, we have prioritized engagement with Indigenous communities whose rights or interests may be impacted by the project's development. I've been very fortunate to spend time listening to Indigenous people whose lands we operate on, and not too long ago spent a day with Curve Lake Chief Weetung, in part canoeing the Trent River. And what I learned that day and many days like it since is that OPG can be a positive advocate for change. It has become increasingly clear that OPG will be stronger for listening to and working with Indigenous nations with common purpose and a shared focus on building a better tomorrow. And this week I did have another opportunity to visit Martin Falls, a fly-in First Nation north of Thunder Bay. And again, it was a humbling experience to provide me with the opportunity to deepen my understanding of the challenges faced by the community and discuss areas of interest and ways we can partner that are mutually beneficial. These conversations are shaping our thinking as a leader and our company's resolve to advance reconciliation. Our respect for the constitutional rights of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people is the foundation of our Reconciliation Action Plan, which includes actions that will factor into project planning and further form of engagement. Thank you for all of you for being here today, and I will now turn it over to Durham MPP Todd McCarthy.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here with Premier Ford and my colleagues and our ministers of the Crown and the Mayor and Regional Chair and all of you. It's a success story here at Darlington. Darlington, as you know, is a 4-unit facility, and it provides 20% of Ontario's energy needs. That's enough to power 2 million homes. So it's a success story to date, and more successful stories to be told at this great complex. And it is with pleasure, therefore, that I introduce my friend and my colleague, the Minister of Energy, the Honourable Todd Smith.
Thanks, Toddy. Good job, buddy.
Premier, thanks, Todd. Good to see you and so many of my colleagues from the Durham region. MPP McCarthy is a tremendous member for this region, and you're looking right here at the MPPs that represent Canada's clean energy capital. You and your colleagues, Todd, including Minister Bethlen Falvey, MPP Coe, MPP Barnes. We have Minister Piccini here as well. Incredible supporters of Ontario's nuclear industry and its workers. Over the past 4 years, Premier Ford and our government have created an environment that is attracting jobs and investment back to our province. And as Ontario's population grows and investment continues, we're implementing our plan to meet the rising demand for reliable, affordable, and clean energy. Procuring 4,000 megawatts of new electricity generation and storage resources. We're increasing funding by $342 million for energy efficiency programs as well. And we're supporting OPG's continued safe operation of the Pickering Nuclear Generating Station. Exactly, yes, thank you. It was exactly a year ago today that I was on this site to announce OPG's selection of the BWRX 300 for Canada's first grid-scale small modular reactor. The Darlington SMR project is going to power our growing economy. It's going to create new export opportunities for Ontario's nuclear supply chain. And just before I turn it over to Premier Ford, I want to recognize the incredible work of the entire team here. Ken and the team at OPG do magnificent work. They're working hard to deliver this first-of-a-kind project. We also have Mayor Foster and Regional Chair Henry, whose support has been critical to the project, and you just heard from Chief Carr as well. Without your hard work and the hard work of many other partners on this project, too many to name, they're all here under the big tent, none of this work would be possible. And with that, I'll pass it over to Premier Ford for today's announcement.
Thanks, Fred.
Well, good morning, everyone, and boy, it's a little chilly out here, and thank goodness Smitty and I have about 40 or 50 pounds extra insulation to keep us warm. Sorry, Smitty, I had to throw you underneath the bus as well. I want to start off, first of all, thanking all the hardworking men and women that are going to help us build this facility, and thank you, Chief Carr, Ken Hartwig, Minister Smith, and PA McCarthy for joining us up here today. It's great to be back here in Durham Region once again, along with Minister Piccini, Minister Bethlen Falvey, PA Coe, PA Barnes, Regional Chair John Henry, and Mayor Foster. I'll tell you, the people of Durham, they're fortunate to have a great lineup like the folks that we have right here. My friends, Ontario's growing fast. And as I always say, over 300,000 people are showing up on our doorstep every year for the next 10 years. Every year, more people and businesses see the promise that Ontario holds. We need to find ways to meet the increasing demand for power and ensure that the families and businesses of this province can afford the electricity they depend on. We need to make sure that Ontario's power supply remains safe and reliable, all while keeping our carbon emissions low. Previous governments didn't do this. They didn't invest in the future, and everyone paid for their bad decisions. They let energy costs skyrocket, chasing businesses to a tune of 300,000 jobs were lost under the previous government from this province. And as we stand here today, since we've been elected 4.5 years ago, there's 500,000 more people working today than there was 4.5 years ago, because we're thinking of putting money back into people's pockets, reducing the cost of doing business. But those days, my friends, those days of losing jobs, they're gone, they're done, and our government has a plan to build Ontario for the future. Nuclear power generation has been providing safe, efficient, and cost-effective electricity across Ontario for the past 50 years. In fact, 20% of all the power in this entire province comes from the Darlington station right behind us. And nuclear power is clean power with zero carbon or smog emissions. Not to mention that it supports thousands of steady, good-paying jobs for families of this region. That's why I'm thrilled that a new small modular reactor will soon be installed right here at Darlington, setting the stage for the next generation of clean, Ontario-produced nuclear energy. Once online, this SMR will boost the capacity of the Darlington station by 300 megawatts. That's enough electricity to power 300,000 homes. The fact is, SMRs are a massive leap forward and a major development for the future of nuclear energy. SMRs are far cheaper to build than stationary reactors. They're easy to add to on existing sites, and they're mobile. SMRs offer an opportunity for Ontario to show the world where the future of clean energy lies. And it's this kind of made in Ontario solution that's attracting investment and creating more jobs, because it's no secret that manufacturing is a major part of Ontario's economy going forward, and that it's going to require a stable and affordable supply of electricity. We are set to be a global leader in building electric vehicles from start to finish, manufacturing clean steel, building rechargeable batteries, and providing the critical minerals those batteries and reactors like this one need to operate. Ontario's future requires more power, and we must be ready. We have to be innovative, and we have to be bold. That's what's happening here at Darlington. Today is more proof that, along with the partners standing next to us, our government is getting it done. We're building Ontario to generations to come. But, my friends, we know there's more to do. We must stay focused, and we can't take anything for granted. As we navigate global economic uncertainty, our government has been hard at work building an economy that can weather any storm, an economy that never loses sight of what's most important: helping people succeed, helping workers succeed. That's the start. It starts with creating the economic conditions that attract investments in growth and good jobs. We've cut red tape to reduce the cost of doing business in Ontario by $7 billion annually. We've kept taxes for people and businesses low. We're investing in skilled trades and a workforce that's prepared for the jobs of today and tomorrow. We're building roads and highways like Highway 413 and the Bradford Bypass. And we're making investments to improve the province's competitive advantage and ensure that Ontario remains the greatest place anywhere to live, work, and raise a family. And while the world faces economic uncertainty and our challenges with inflation are not over, one thing I have complete confidence in are the people of Ontario. They are no harder working people on earth, and I know that together we will accomplish incredible things. Together we will build Ontario. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario.
Okay, we'll now take questions from the media. Just a reminder, it's one question, one follow-up.
Okay.
Hi, Premier Siobhan from CTV.
Hi, Siobhan.
We've heard some concerns from councillors in King Township about the Greenbelt lands that you're looking at for development of housing. That's land that they were hoping to use for development of the new South Lake Hospital. Don't you need to add healthcare that we know is badly needed in that area before you grow the population there?
Well, that's actually in our plans. I know South Lake is putting together plans, submitting into the Ministry of Health, and that's one of our priorities. Folks, there's never been more money spent on infrastructure and hospitals in the history of this country, in the history of this province. We're spending over $40 billion, and that number is growing, on 50 sites across Ontario. There isn't a region in this province that's not either getting a massive expansion or getting a brand new hospital. So that's something that we're going to be looking at, and I know the people of Durham are also looking forward to a new hospital.
I don't know if you've paid attention to this, but what's been happening at York Memorial Collegiate in Toronto, it's in your nephew's riding. A lot of school violence there, concerns from parents that their kids aren't safe. We're hearing the same from staff as well. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on what you've seen, what you think might need to happen there, and if there's any room for the province to intervene at all.
Well, we always leave that up to the school boards. We don't have jurisdiction to dictate to the school boards what needs to be done. But I'll tell you, if there's any violent crimes if there's any gun crimes happening, this goes back to the federal government. They're weak when it comes to making sure that when someone gets charged, that there's mandatory sentences out there. We have to look at bail reform. We have JPs, justices of peace, that are letting these violent people out in 2 days. There's no secret. I have 3 son-in-laws that are police officers. I talk to police officers every single day. Their biggest frustration, there's a shooting in the neighborhood, they catch the bad guy, and guess what? They let him out on the street the next day or the next 2 days. That is absolutely ridiculous. We need to make sure that our communities are safe. We need to be tough when it comes to the laws of this country. And we know that the federal government controls the criminal code, so they need to toughen up rather than being weak and letting these people back out on the streets and say they're going to be reformed, and there they are, they're shooting up the streets again.
Alistair McNamara, Durham Radio News.
Hi,
Premier, in a report by the Auditor General this week, she says the provincial electricity subsidies are failing to reduce the root causes of the high prices. She says they simply shift a portion of the costs from ratepayers to taxpayers. How would you respond to that?
Well, that's a good question for the minister.
I had a feeling I would do that.
Thank you very much, Premier. Thank you for the question. Clearly what we're dealing with is the hangover from the Liberal era, which drove electricity prices through the roof. Sole-sourced contracts that were way over the market price that we're still dealing with today. You all remember the solar contracts that were signed at 80 cents a kilowatt hour when facilities like this were producing reliable electricity, clean, efficient electricity at 8-9 cents a kilowatt hour. As a result, what we've done to ensure that we can see the growth and stability in our energy sector again and investment coming back to our province is put forward a comprehensive electricity plan. That comprehensive electricity plan, coupled with the Ontario electricity rebate, is ensuring that manufacturers in our province are saving 15 to 17% on their electricity bills every day. Is there a cost that comes with that? Absolutely. But there is a lot to be gained with that, and we're seeing that in the multi-billion-dollar investments that are coming in our EV manufacturing sector. You know, we saw under the previous Liberal government auto factories leaving for other jurisdictions and those manufacturing jobs leaving for other jurisdictions. Now we have those EV platforms coming to places like General Motors in Oshawa here in the Durham region and many others across the province. EV battery manufacturing facilities coming back. Electrification in our steelmaking processes. All of this is going to require more electricity, and we have a plan to ensure that we are providing that electricity for future investment and population growth in our province, and this small modular reactor is one piece of that puzzle.
And just to follow up, Minister, we talk about expanding electricity. What about lowering the costs in the province? Any plans on that?
Well, we are making sure that electricity rates remain stable. What we saw under the long-term electricity plan from the Liberal government was increases of 7%, 8%, and 9% year over year through the end of the decade. We're ensuring with the programs that we have in place under the guidance of our Premier and my colleagues who are here today that we have stable electricity prices, and a matter of fact well below the rate of inflation every year, and ensuring a reliable, affordable, clean, safe electricity system for the residents of our province, those who are looking to invest in our province.
Thank you.
Okay, this will be the last question.
Morning, Premier. Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Good morning.
The federal environment says Ottawa will not provide disaster compensation where a province deliberately allows housing to be built in areas prone to flooding. Stephen Guilbeault says some of the lands where housing is being proposed in Ontario are in floodplains. Will you be building homes in floodplains in the Greenbelt that you just opened up?
No, and I encourage the federal minister to do his research. It's the responsibility of any builder, no matter where we build, to make sure that they protect any floodplains. And I just wish you'd do a little more research on that, and maybe I'll call them and inform them what's going on.
What do you think of Danielle Smith's Sovereignty Act?
Well, that's up to Alberta. I'm not going to get involved in Alberta politics, and I've had an opportunity to speak to Danielle, I think, once or twice, so I don't interfere in other provinces' jurisdictions.
Okay, thanks everyone.
That's great. Thanks, everyone. Take care.